It's got to clearly depend on how bad the shot is, though. Because if you get fouled and knocked unconscious and then you come back,
you're just going to get knocked out.
Yeah.
If you get knocked out, that's why boxing, right?
Comes in with that right, and that sudden, quick, violent rotation of the head is going to transmit a lot of rotational force, not only through the brain, but also through the brainstem, absolutely leading to possibility of a concussion. Thankfully, it didn't completely knock him out, but could absolutely result in some delayed symptoms.
It's like a big part of it is speed. Anthony Joshua has that kind of speed.
Joe Rogan spoke about Jake Paul going to the hospital after the Joshua knockout while talking with Daniel Cormier. Rogan noted how strong the punch looked and said that boxing is a very dangerous sport. He explained that when fighters get hit hard at that high level, the results can be very serious and stay for a long time. Rogan said that you never know what will happen, and such hits can cause damage that lasts for life. He wants everyone to know the real risks.
Out cold.
He was done.
He outboxed him for the rest of the round.
How? But again, in MMA, fight probably would have been over, and he would have took less damage.
Right, but isn't that a better art?
Sports doctor Brian Sutterer talked about the knockout in a very calm and medical way. He said the result was what many people expected, but the real worry started when Jake Paul said he thought his jaw was broken. According to Sutterer, a broken jaw was very likely because of how Joshua's right hand hit the left side of Jake's face. However, he said a concussion would be a much bigger problem. He explained that jaw breaks are not as scary as risks to the head, neck, or breath. The fast and hard turn of Jake's head from the hit sent a lot of force through his brain. This makes the risk of a concussion much higher. Even though Jake did not go fully unconscious, Sutterer noted that bad signs could still show up later. Jake's shock and his quick reaction showed that he knew something very bad had happened. It was a very dangerous moment for any fighter to face in the ring.
Not the outcome that we all expected. After the fight, though, Jake told Ariel Helwani that he was worried that he had broke his jaw. He said multiple times he was concerned that he had a fractured jaw. And certainly looking at this knockout punch that Anthony Joshua delivers, it is absolutely a possibility that Jake does in fact have a jaw fracture. I'd honestly be more concerned about a concussion. In fact, with most jaw fractures, the more important thing initially is to look for other injuries to the head, to the neck, to the airway. The jaw fracture potentially being there or not is going to be lower on the list often than whether there's damage to the airway, damage to the head. And so very possible to have a concussion or some residual symptoms from this, as Jake Paul's head is relatively still here. We see AJ comes in with that right, and that sudden, quick, violent rotation of the head is going to transmit a lot of rotational force, not only through the brain, but also through the brainstem, absolutely leading to possibility of a concussion. Thankfully, it didn't completely knock him out, but could absolutely result in some delayed symptoms. But you can see where the punch comes in, landing square on that left side of Paul's face. Jake's reaction was pretty telling too. Right away after it, we could see him going down on the canvas here and being very shocked. It doesn't look like there's any obvious deformity to the jaw. We won't necessarily always see a deformity to the jaw, but you could tell he clearly had realized that something serious had happened there and feeling the full power of AJ's right. And finally, on this last view, we can see a little bit better the exact location where the punch comes in. We'll talk about our jaw anatomy, the different areas of the bones, but your temporomandibular joint, where your jaw articulates with the rest of your skull, is sitting right around in this area, and the jaw is roughly coming down in this orientation. And so where that punch comes in from Joshua is a little bit more kind of flush right in the center of the mandible, but also up close near.
Joe Rogan had already said before the match that it would end badly for Jake Paul. He explained that Jake was used to fighting older or retired men, but this time he was getting in with one of the best heavyweights in the world. Rogan warned that the gap in skill would be very dangerous and also very unforgiving.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What do you think about Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua?
Boy. Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not in his league. Okay, look, Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight and dropped him and stopped him.
The result of Jake Paul getting in the ring with Anthony Joshua started many talks in the boxing world. While some fans praised Jake for his bravery to face a scary rival, many top voices in the sport did not agree at all. Luke Thomas was one of the loudest people against the praise that Jake Paul got. He made it clear that the talk about the fight felt way too big. According to Thomas, people were clapping for Jake just for staying alive instead of really fighting. He pointed out that Anthony Joshua did not fight with all his power and on purpose held back many of his hits. From the view of Thomas, this was not a real match, but a safe setup where a top heavyweight showed mercy. Jake's work did not show any skill, growth, or smart plans. Instead, Thomas argued that Jake looked lost for most of the fight, found it hard to fight back, and failed to show any real goal to win.
Initially watched the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. I think I would say that my conclusions now still match most of what I said when I was watching on the initial broadcast, which is that Joshua, he did look a little rusty to me. I'm sorry, but he did. That Jake is, probably a little bit better than we suggested he might be. When I say we, I mean like the hardcore fight community, the fight fans, the people who work in the industry to a degree. Sometimes there is a suggestion that he can't do anything. And I would be like, well, that's a little much. He can do stuff. I mean, it's limited what he can do. It's very limited what he can do. But there is a little bit too much anger towards him sometimes, or just dismissiveness, maybe is a better way to put that. And I don't really co-sign on some of that. He's got some ability. He's not good. Listen to me very carefully. He's not good. But is he the caricature that he is sometimes made out to be in terms of his pure boxing skill? I think it goes a little overboard sometimes. But that isn't the reason why I wanted to make this video. What I wanted to make this video about is two things. One, after the fight was over, I got on social media and people were like hugely negative about the fight. And I did not think that the fight was good. In fact, I thought the fight was, like most Jake Paul fights, pretty bad, although him surviving kind of feeds into the story of him being perhaps a little bit better than we sometimes think, although I don't really co-sign on that. Let me make the point. The first point is, I think people are overreacting a little bit. People were suggesting when I got on social media that this was like the biggest farce they'd ever seen in their life, and that this was, how could he fight like this, and this was a disaster, and Joshua should have got him out there earlier. There is probably some evidence to suggest that I don't think Joshua was carrying him in the sense of, hey, they coordinated this ahead of time. But was Joshua really stepping on the gas? No, I don't think he was really stepping on the gas. There were times I think he clearly pulled his...
Lawrence Okoli looked at the match in a different way but came to a similar tough end. He focused on the real danger of the sport of boxing. He explained that just one mistake in the ring can end a fight in a second, no matter how famous you are. From his view, Jake Paul getting in with a man like Anthony Joshua was very reckless. He said that boxing is not kind and bad matches do not become okay just because they get a lot of attention. He called the choice to take this fight foolish and not needed. He noted how easily the result could have been even more scary. Even with the heavy blame, some people liked that Jake Paul was ready to take hits and keep going. After the fight, news came out that Jake went to the hospital with a bad jaw injury. Some people saw this as proof that he is tough. They argued that no matter how he fought, Jake showed heart by facing a star like Joshua. These thoughts focused more on his strength than his moves. But even those giving some credit did not say Jake is a real pro boxer. They saw it as being brave instead of having skill. Taking hits and moving on is respected in the ring, but it is not everything. Courage without being able to win does not change a fighter's rank. While the injury showed the cost, it also raised more worries about if these fights should ever happen.
I go to the hospital, I think I broke my jaw. We all know he broke his jaw. We all know we've seen the x-ray. There is a video of the x-ray that he showed us on his Instagram, so that was no AI. And it showed where his jaw had to be reconstructed and, wired, right? So he can't have any hard foods for a while. And again, I think Jake Paul is going to get respect for that, because it's one thing, because we all know about Jake. I think the problem with Jake was he was bullshitting us by giving us fights that we didn't want to see, for one, and for two, wasn't giving us fights most of the time of the people that could beat him. He gave us Tommy Fury, and then Tommy Fury actually beat him, which, whatever, but he did drop Tommy Fury with a left hook, so that was an impressive thing he did against the guy. Can't say the only guy now, because AJ fought him and knocked him out. But, you know, other than that, though, fighting Mike Tyson, Anderson Silva, which Anderson Silva showed that he is still very dangerous and very, very ready at 50 years old. You know what I mean? Like, what he did to Tyron Woodley was classic Anderson Silva. You know, he picked his shots. You know what I mean? He moved with grace. He moved with wisdom, and he knew exactly what to do. And again, he should have went over to boxing a long time ago, but Jake beat him. So that just made Jake's, stock rise, right? In the sense of, hey, well, he beat Anderson Silva.
Adam Catterall was very honest and blunt in his talk. He strongly attacked the role of being famous in boxing today and said Jake Paul is part of that problem. According to Catterall, Anthony Joshua did not even use his full power when he hit him, but he still caused big damage. In his view, this showed the huge gap between the two men. Catterall said that if Joshua had used all his strength, the end could have been much worse for Paul. His main point was about where the sport is going. He argued that boxing now likes fame more than real skill. Fighters who work for many years to get to the top do not get noticed, but internet stars get big chances that they have not earned in the ring. For Catterall, this match showed everything that is wrong. Jake Paul's fight was not good. It was proof of a system that wants views more than real sports rules.
Thinking, for my own credibility, I've got to knock you out, but I've got to try and knock you out where I'm not hurting you as much as what I could if I unleashed. Yeah. And with the punch you said that he landed, it's not his best punch, it's his most powerful punch, right? Yep. And he's shattered his jaw in 2 places, right? So Anthony Joshua gets his 70 million, whatever it is. But I think he's sitting there thinking, thank God for that. Thank God. On a human level, I've come out, all right, I've sort of, not reputation, but I haven't hurt him as bad as what I could have.
There should be an awful amount of people breathing a massive sigh of relief. Anybody that put that fight together, athletic commissions, like you said.
It wasn't a fight.
No, it wasn't at all. Like you said, it was a prize
yes.
fight. It was an event. If Anthony damages him, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of stress to deal with, you know what I mean? So I'm sure he's bleeding the side of relief. The team that have put him in there, that have negotiated that for him, but the authorities that put that on and commissioned it as a proper boxing match, I've no doubt.
Does that go on his...
Yeah, it's a professional boxing
Do you know what? If I was Anthony Joshua, I would be saying, I don't want that on my record. But for the credibility of them putting the fight on, they would have said to him, no, we've got to say this. It's been commissioned. It's going to be a proper fight. And I found it. I love my boxing, but I just find the whole thing really, really unedifying. You said about get followers. You mentioned Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is nowhere near his level of getting like a British title fight or whatever. Nowhere near. So it's basically he's like
beat Jake Paul.
Right, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, beat Jake Paul. But so
but what I'm saying is that 100. I stand by that, and I think Tommy would admit that. You know what I mean? To become a British champion is a very prestigious thing to do, and I think he would struggle to do that.
But I think when I was reading, he got 5.6 or 6.
True Geordie gave a smart but still tough reaction. He said that Jake Paul's personal story and his rise from fame were interesting to see. His hard work and big dreams were seen as good on a human level. However, when talking about the real fight, True Geordie was clear that Jake did not do his job. He noted that Jake did not look like a man who really wanted to win. His moves were slow, and he did not attack with any real heart. His time in the ring looked like he was just trying to stay alive instead of trying to win. True Geordie said that boxing is not judged on stories, but on what you do in the ring. While Jake's path might help some people, the fight itself gave nothing special to the sport. The broken jaw showed the result you get when you ignore the gap in skill.
Right for me to evaluate, because on the one hand, Jake's come a long way, so you want to give him credit for that. But on the other hand, you want to get in there with AJ. You want to talk about you're going to beat AJ up, and then you fight in a certain way. It's very hard for me to kind of give the right amount of credit and criticism here, because the backstory is so inspiring, but the performance was not inspiring in some ways. I think for me now, I just want to see Jake Paul in a fucking competitive fight, and that's the problem with the direction he's been been going in is he puts on big fights, but not competitive fights. Fighting Chavez Jr., that was an easy win. Nate Diaz, an easy win. Mike Tyson, an easy win. Anthony Joshua, not competitive for the opposite reason. He's completely not expected to win, and it wasn't competitive. He stacks the chips too heavily either way, and because of that, we never actually get to find out how good Jake is. And part of that, I think, is maybe deliberate, because then we never know, and the storyline can go anywhere. And while you don't know really how good he is, there's always another dream to sell, and it's almost genius level promoting. It really is. But for his own sake, you're getting into your late 20s now, your physical prime, you're only going to ever find out how good you really are by getting in there with people who are of the level that you claim you're at the right weight class. You are not a cruiserweight. You've got a layer of, body fat on you. You can't be doing that in boxing. If you're a serious boxer, you don't get in there looking like Jake Paul looks. You look shredded. And that's why really he's a light heavyweight. But fuck it. If you want to be cruiserweight, be a cruiserweight. Regardless, just fight people who are now ranked, and let's find out where the fuck he is. Because surely, these money grab Tyson fight, the AJ fight, he's packed that bank chock full. And credit to him. Even if he has hustled people or whatever the fuck, credit to him. One of the best promoters in boxing history, actually. I really do believe that. Because even when fights seem ridiculous.
Paulie Malignaggi was one of the toughest critics of the match. As a former world champion, his rules for boxing are very high. He hated the fight and said it was not serious or competitive at all. According to Malignaggi, Jake Paul did not even try to win, and just focused on staying in for a long time. He blamed Jake for going down to one knee many times and treating the match like a show instead of a real fight. His anger came from his deep respect for the sport. He argued that boxing careers are built on years of hard work and pain. Watching someone get in the ring for fame and get praise just for staying alive felt like an insult to real boxers. From his view, the match did not help the sport of boxing in any way at all. It was a waste of time.
The boxing fans by going out on his shield. Guy just ran for his life. I just watched Jake Paul run for his life for 5-6 rounds. Literally just run for. He was doing football jukes. You guys watched that fight? Ring was big. I made a freaking point about that ring being big, and he used it to his advantage in terms of survival in every way he could. I mean, this guy literally never tried to win a second of the fight. He was trying to throw a home run punch every once in a while. Then notice every time he got in the clinch, he just went down. He just hugged Anthony Joshua, and then would go down, and the referee would call it a slip and give him a break, and he would just kill time that way. Then he was completely angling off. He's completely blading his shoulder off completely to the point where he's so bladed off that he can't even punch. He was just trying to make himself as small of a target as possible. And Anthony Joshua, people are going to say, oh, why didn't Anthony Joshua catch up to him? Because Anthony Joshua never had fast feet to begin with. And Anthony Joshua, honestly, should have probably cut off the ring a little bit better. That's my one critique of Joshua. He probably could have cut off the ring a little bit better. Joshua's always never really had the best feet, but in terms of cutting off the ring, he could have at least done that. But honestly, what do you want the guy to do? I mean, this guy ran for his life in a 22 by 22 foot ring. That ring was huge. That ring was huge. I can't believe what I just watched, guys. I'm seriously dude. That's it. This was AJ's chance. Could have went out on his shield and his chance to say, yeah, get the respect of the boxing community. This was the one that could have got him the respect of the boxing community. This was the one. He came out with all this rap crap and doing the Hulkamania crap and all that other stuff and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, is he that calm, or is he literally just setting up his own demise? I don't know. AJ came out to the ring really serious, which would you expect? And then, I mean, he never fought. Jake never fought. He never fought the whole fight. And then in the end, what happened? You get stopped anyway. You took some shots anyway. His mouth was bleeding at the end of the fight.
That is all for today. See you soon.